So now this is the last lesson that I want to talk about quadratic equations. We have to go forward, but let us try to solve more problems. Last time we talked about the method of auxiliary variables, and we also had a problem that we didn't have time. Of course, some of you were able to solve the problem, but let us see how it goes now. This problem, let us solve it, okay, together. So, of course, when I ask solve this equation, I have to mention with respect to which variable you are supposed to solve. If I don't mention it, I always mean with respect to x. Of course, I will be more clear in the exam. I would say that solve the following equation for x. So it means x is unknown. Any other letters involved in the problem are not unknowns. They are called parameters. Okay, so I hope that you know what to do with it. Many of you could do it. Okay, now, so this problem, you know it's a quadratic equation, so you know how to solve it because the main tool in our hand is actually the ABC formula. So A is 1 in this problem. What is B in this problem?
M plus N.
M plus N as a whole. And what is C? M times N. Okay, then you need to construct D. D is B squared minus 4AC. My recording is... So this becomes M plus N to power 2 minus 4 times 1 times mn. And then you have to simplify this a little bit. So I raise it to power 2, it becomes the first one squared 2 times the first one times the second one plus the second one squared. What happens here? Minus 4 times 1 is minus 4 times mn minus 4 mn. Yes? And then this becomes m squared minus 2mn plus n squared. Okay, but then, do you know I can factorize it again? How? By writing it as m minus n to power 2, which is indeed useful in this case. Why? Because the formula that I have, I hope that you have it in your memory now, minus b plus or minus the square root of d over 2a. But what is minus b? Be careful. Minus the whole b. If you write like this, that is not correct. Because this means that you are putting minus sign only for m. Minus b. b is this object. Minus b means minus the whole thing. Yes? And then plus or minus the square root of d is m minus n to the power of 2 divided by 2a, which is 1. A is 1, so it becomes 2. But then, suddenly something interesting happens, yes? Because the square root of something to power 2, they cancel out, and then what is left for me is m minus n. So this becomes, if you don't mind, let me now multiply the minus sign in. It becomes minus m minus n. And then I have plus or minus. Again, some of you wrote like this, then it becomes wrong. For the plus sign, it doesn't become wrong. But for the minus sign, if you write it in that way, it becomes wrong. So be careful about putting pair of brackets and then over 2. And then I have two things to take care. One with the positive sign, so minus m minus n. Consider the positive sign. There is nothing that I have to be worried. I can just open up the pair of brackets. So it becomes plus m minus n divided by 2. But in the problem, I have asked you to write it in the simplest possible form. So you have to continue. So m and m are gone. Minus n is minus 2n divided by 2, which can be simplified more. These 2 and that 2 are factors, and they are common, so I can simplify them. And the other one is the same thing, I repeat it. But this minus sign is for the whole expression. So it goes for minus m and plus n. So this is the problem. If you didn't consider these signs correctly, then you will end up with those answers you told me yesterday. So this one and that one are gone. This time I have minus 2m divided by 2, and the answer becomes minus m. So the answer to this question is two answers. One of them is minus n, the other one is minus m. This is the answer to this problem in its simplest possible form. So it is a good question because it tests two abilities of you. Once it tests if you really understand what is going on about quadratic equation, it also tests your ability to simplify expressions and factorize expressions. So that is three birds with one stone in one problem. Any questions? Okay, we have to practice on this because unfortunately I cannot immediately. Okay, before doing that, let me test your understanding. I could have given this in Math 1C and ask you to solve it for m. This is just a practice. I want to see how many of you remember what to do. This is Math 2C problem. I couldn't ask this question in Math 1C because if I ask you to solve it for x, then for x it is a quadratic equation. We just learned this in this lesson. But I could have given you this in Math 1C and ask you solve for, say, m. I want to wait for you to see how much you can cope with this new problem. So I solved for x. I want you to solve for m, which in principle I could have given you as a Math 1C problem. I want to wait. So let me write here. Exercise or example, solve the equation above, the previous equation, for m. I mean, if you really can solve this problem on your own without me explaining how, then it means that your understanding is actually really growing. Yes?
I got m equals to minus mx minus x squared divided by that entire expression divided by m plus x.
Okay, I didn't understand what you said. Let me write it down. So you have division. What is the denominator?
On the above place there is nx minus
nx minus
x squared.
X squared.
No, hold on. Minus nx minus x squared.
Yes.
Divided by n plus x.
N plus
X.
x.
وده انت كان factorize it though. Wasn't simplify more. Make it minus x.
If this is the case, you can simplify. I don't know if that is correct answer or not.
I got that as well, but I factorized it and got m equals minus x.
Yeah, same.
So let us see what happens. You factor a minus x out, it becomes n plus x, and then it becomes just simply
Minus x.
minus x.
Yes.
And this means this is your m. Yes, that's correct. So it's good. So it means that you actually could do the problem. Let us see if others don't know what to do. Because this equation that we solved, where is this stick? Yes. So this equation is a quadratic equation in x. Why? Because the highest power of the unknown is 2. But if I insist that my unknown is m, this is no longer a quadratic equation. It is what type of equation? First degree equation. Why? Because my unknown is m and the highest power of m is 1 and 1. So it doesn't need quadratic equation. This is why it's a Math 1C problem. So in order to do that, you have to use the methods for first degree equations, in which case we have to isolate the unknown on the left, everything else on the right. So that's the strategy. Okay, so x squared is just x squared. I have to expand first. So here you see that the method is completely different. I have to multiply here. So it becomes mx, nx, and then mn. Okay, equals to 0. But I know my goal. My goal is to isolate my unknown on the left. So this one contains my unknown. This one also contains my unknown, which is m. Okay, These two do not contain my unknown, so I have to move them to the other side. So the other side, it becomes minus x squared. I move this to the other side, nx to the other side. And then what happens? I have mx, yes, and nx. But I do not want to have x in two places, so what do? I factor it out, it becomes m plus n, yes? So now I don't understand, your answer probably is not correct.
No, Babak, you did it wrong.
I did it wrong?
Yes.
Yes, I factored x. Yes, foolishly, sorry. I told you myself that m is the unknown, so I have to pull which out?
M.
M out. Thank you. So then it becomes x plus n. Now that's correct. Because you know my unknown is m, so I have to find its coefficient so that I can isolate this and find m. And to isolate m, I divide everything by this coefficient. So m is minus x squared minus nx divided by x plus n. Okay? And then you see that the people who realize that this can be simplified more, this part is also Mat 1c, because in Mat 1c we could factor things out like that. So I put minus x out, and then here x is left, here plus n is left, and then I have x plus n. But now x plus n is a factor because it's multiplied, and x plus n is the same thing, so I can simplify the common factors, and of course m becomes minus x. Good. So the people who could solve this problem, they have very a good understanding of what's going on. I don't mean that if you couldn't solve it, you don't have a good understanding, but it means that you are going towards being mature in mathematics. Okay, but now let us try to go back. Let me see how many of you can solve this problem. We go back to a little bit of exercise of this type. So simplification is needed. So what we write, I would write it here. I want to wait for you again. There is nothing that I can teach you. You have to find your own way. So the question is this. M minus 2n x squared minus 2mx plus m plus, so I don't need a pair of brackets, m plus 2n equals to 0. Okay, so forget about this Mat 1c. We go back to Mat 2c again. I want you to solve it for x. It's a quadratic equation. I want to wait for you. Everyone can do that. Just be patient. Promise yourself that you will not make a mistake. This will make you aware of your commitment. It's better to do it. You see, people want to do a competition, they concentrate for a while and then do it, you know? Exactly like that. I want to wait for you. Of course, in the problem, for some reason, they have mentioned that n is positive. I don't know if really it is needed or not, but in case you need it, you can use it. So the highest power of x is 2. X is your unknown. So this is this course lesson. It is not Mat 1c lesson. So you have to use this method because you have x squared, you have x, and you have something without x. The first thing that you need to do is to read the a, b, and c. What is a? This expression sitting next to x squared is a. This expression sitting next to x is b, and everything without x is your c. Yes? Okay, and then you need the formula. So if you want, I can write the formula. It's a minus b plus or minus a square root of d over 2a. So I need to calculate d first. So d is what? Is b squared minus 4ac. But you have to be patient and do this correctly. So b is minus 2m, but your goal is to square it. Minus 4m Some people still write like this. This is not a correct way. It is like you write an English sentence and you don't put commas, full stops. So you have to respect and put the pair of brackets around that. So this is the D. But still I have to simplify. This 1 to power 2 is 4m squared. Minus 4, in principle I should multiply, but before multiplying, if you have trained yourself, you immediately recognize the conjugate rule. So I have to apply the conjugate rule. So I open a pair of brackets, two expressions subtracted, the same two expressions added, and I want to multiply them. So it becomes the first one squared minus the second one squared. Yes? But then I have to multiply once more. So what happens? So it becomes 4m squared minus 4m squared. Minus 4 times minus 4 is 16n squared. And I am lucky these two are gone, and I am left with just 16n squared. Okay, I would say this is the hard part. And then the next part is simple. You just put it in the formula. Okay, so what is the formula? The formula is still on the board. So I would say x is minus b. So this is minus b formula. And this is my b. Where was it? B is this one. B has a negative sign within itself. And then you have a minus sign within the formula. So minus becomes 2m. And then plus or minus square root of d. This is your d, 16n squared. And then divided by 2 times your a. What is your a? A is this guy. Don't multiply it in, just write it here. Why? Because we know that we have to simplify. To simplify, we have to factorize. It is already in factorized form. So why should I bother to multiply and then factorize again? So then I will continue. 2m is just 2m, plus or minus. What is the square root of 16n squared? Square root of 16 is?
4.
Square root of n squared is? N divided by 2. Don't multiply. If you multiply, then you have to factor again. Okay, then you know what to do. I have two things to take care. One with the positive sign. So it becomes 2m plus 4n divided by what? 2 times m minus 2n. Can I simplify this a little bit? Yes, because I can factor a 2 out. It becomes m plus 2n divided by 2 times m minus 2n. And then this 2 and that 2 are common factors now. They can be simplified. And it becomes m plus 2n over m minus 2n. Can I simplify more?
Yes.
Yes? Can I? No. The reason is that m is common, but it is not a factor. It's a summand. We cannot simplify. N is common, but it is not a factor. It's a factor of this part, but not the factor of the whole part. So it's important to understand the problem is finished. Don't insist to continue more. The problem is finished. Now, the second part. I didn't consider the negative sign. So now I consider the negative sign as well. I hope that you understand the same strategy will work, but it becomes much simpler this time, because if I factor a 2 out, so what happens now? Not only these 2 can be cancelled, but the whole factor can be cancelled. So what's left? 1. So it is fairly simple. So I would say the answer to this problem, x is equal to 1. Very simple. The other one is also simple, but of course not that simple. Yes? Okay, I want to teach you how to do this in GeoGebra. This is important. Of course, might be it is not very important for this year, but GeoGebra is one of those apps that you have to be good at using it. So let us just do that. In GeoGebra, algebra view is not good for this task. So you go to CAS view. You go change the CAS view. You see CAS view is here. We don't need algebra. Let us take it off. We don't know graphics. Let us take it off. So we have a fresh thing here. And I start typing solve. But let us see what happens. Solve give me a lot of options in CAS view. This equation in X is not for you. Yes, you need to choose this one, equation and variable. Because for this one, equation should be only one variable and it should be X. But in my case, we have more than one letter in my equation. So I will choose this one. And then I start typing my equation. It's extremely important to put the product symbol there. Okay, so I start typing it. What was that? It is m minus 2 multiplied by n and then multiplied by x squared. Yes. And then what do I have more? Minus 2 multiplied by m multiplied by x. Don't forget to put this multiplication. Plus, the other one is m plus 2 star n equals to 0. But I can give the name of my variable. What is my variable is supposed to be? Is x. Yes? Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened here. Did I open a wrong pair of brackets? Yes, I don't know what has happened. So I have to open a pair of brackets I had forgot in the beginning. So everything is messed up now. Hopefully not. So this is the bad point working. If you start typing something wrong, then it makes a lot of problems for you. This is the crazy way of writing an app. Okay, so anyway, this x, is that right? Did I type it wrong? It's correct, yes. And then you press enter, and these are your answers. So if you want to solve these type of problems using GeoGebra, you have to go to CAS view and solve it. By saying that x is your variable, because you have more than one letter involved in the problem. So are these answers what we got? Yes, exactly. These are the answers, 1 and these numbers. Okay, for example, you can type the same thing. So let us, for example, type the previous problem. Can you read it for me, Omar? So solve the one that was up there. So let me find that. So I go to solve. I choose this one. This is what? X to the power of 2 and then plus
mx
m. No,
n times x.
yes, it was m plus n if you remember. I opened it up. And then a star x. And then I have plus what? M star n. Okay, of course we know the answer, but this time I want to choose the variable a different thing. What was the variable?
M.
Here I chose m. Let us see if it is capable of solving that one as well. So I am giving you the same equation, but I am changing my perspective from x to m. That's correct. Yes? Yes. So is that understandable?
Yes.
Okay. I saw a problem in the book. I want to discuss about that. Okay. This is for some reason in all other high schools, I mean around the world, they will discuss about this in the body of the lesson, not as an exercise. So let us just use it, use this opportunity to talk about that. Okay, and this is what I want to talk about. Let us say that I have a quadratic equation. And this quadratic equation has two solutions. I haven't solved them, but let us say one of them is called x1 and the other one is called x2. Is that mine? No. Okay. My question is that what is x1 plus x2 and what is x1 multiplied by x2? Of course, you might say, Babak, this is a very simple problem. Why? Because you told me how to find x1 and x2 using the formula, ABC formula. I do it, find them, and then add them, and then multiply them. Yes, of course you are right. And I want to do this. But I want to do it once for all, because then it turns out to be two nice formulas. And people around the world have these formulas in the memory, or they have it in their own formula sheet. But you don't have them. You just have them in the exercise in the book. Okay. For example, if I write an equation here for you, if you ask me, Babak, do you know the roots? I cannot say yes, I have to calculate. But if you tell me, Babak, do you know the sum of those roots? I would say yes, it is 3. And if you tell me, do you know the product of those roots? I would say yes, it is -10. Okay? This is what I want you to learn. I want you to prove that the sum is always minus this divided by that. And product is always this divided by that. Okay, for the people who are interested in mathematics, I really want you to know this, at least know there is a formula for this. Okay? But this I can ask you, this is the exercise in the book. They have asked you to show this claim is true. But can you tell me how to do it? We want to show if there are two solutions for this equation, the sum of those solutions is always minus this coefficient divided by that coefficient. And the product is always this number divided by that coefficient. So why do you think it is true? Because I want to solve it, because this is an exercise in your book, level 3 problem. So how should I prove this? How should I prove that? Don't hesitate, you know the answer. Let us say I didn't tell you this. I wrote you that equation and I asked you this question in the exam. Couldn't you solve it? How do you solve it? You find them, add them, and multiply it. So let us do the same thing. So why do you hesitate? Let us find them, once add them, once multiply them, and see what is in front of me. Face it. Okay, so I already did that for you. If you ask me what is x1 and what is x2, what are they? It is minus b plus or minus square root of d over 2a. Do you agree? These are the roots. But which one is x1, which one is x2, I don't know, and it doesn't matter. So let us take the positive one for x1, minus 1 for x2. So let us say that x1 is minus b plus square root of d divided by 2a. Let us say x2 is minus b minus square root of d over 2a. Agree? Very simple now. I want to find x1 plus x2. Just do the calculation. x1 is this one, plus x2 is this one, or the other way around, it doesn't matter. Okay? But you know what to do. I have a fraction. I want to add it to another fraction. The first thing that I have to ask, are the denominators the same? Fortunately, yes. So I don't even need to bother to take the common denominator. The common denominator is in front of my eyes. It's 2a. So what I will do, I will add the numerators, yes? But this plus the whole thing. Okay, let us hope for the best. Okay, but then I ask myself, I want to open up this pair of brackets. Do I face any problems? No, there's a plus sign, so the plus sign goes here and there, but plus minus is always minus, plus minus is always minus, so it becomes minus b minus the square root of d over 2a. So you see, I'm not doing anything specific, I'm just actually adding numbers, things like that. Okay, can you help me to simplify that fraction? Do you see what is happening? The denominator, of course, I cannot simplify more than that. But can I simplify something in the numerator?
I
take out the D's and then
Yes, because whatever this number is, that is the same number with the opposite sign. So they are gone. Who cares?
Yeah.
But I have minus b, another minus b becomes negative 2b. But can I simplify a little bit more? Because 2 is a factor, 2 is a factor, I simplify. What is left? Minus b over a. So that is your formula. So the sum of the roots, one way to find the sum of the roots is find the roots and then add them up. But the shortcut is to use the formula minus b over a. But the product is a little bit harder, and that is why it was a level 3 problem, because it was not hard. I want to wait for you a little bit, at least 5 minutes. I want you to prove that if I multiply these two and simplify, I will get this answer back. I want to wait for you. I want to, let me do that because I want to finish this lesson, quadratic equation. And then we will have the quiz on Friday, and then we start a fresh lesson. That is also very related to this lesson. So if you don't learn quadratic equation, you will not learn that one. That is called the root equations. Equations with square root signs in it. And they could be complicated sometimes. Okay, so now let us just do that. If the people who didn't understand, please listen to me. So I will go back here. Let us modify. I'm lazy a little bit. So let us modify. Here, I want the multiplication. Yes? So this makes this multiplication. But unfortunately, none of them will work. Because the rule for addition is completely different from multiplication. So I have to suffer. So I have to take it off and do it again. Okay, so but the rule of multiplication is what? Multiply numerators, multiply denominators. Denominators is very simple. 2a times 2a is what? 4a squared. I mean, I hope that you can recognize this pattern. You see, minus b plus a square root of d, minus b minus a square root of d. If I give the role of box to minus b, this will also be my box. And if I give the role of circle to this also be my circle. Don't look inside. What do you see? You see this. I don't know. This is up to you. If you don't pay attention, of course, you will not learn. But this pattern is just a very simple pattern. It's conjugate rule. What's the answer to conjugate rule? The box is squared, circle is squared, and minus sign always. Okay, now help me. So can you tell me what is box squared in this setup?
b squared minus d.
It is minus b, but to the power of 2. It becomes positive b squared. This sign is always negative. What is my circle here?
d.
It's the square root of d, but I have to raise circle to power 2. What is that?
d.
D. That's it.
Yes.
Was it hard? No. If you couldn't, you have to ask yourself, why did I fail? Okay, then you know a formula for D. So what is the formula for D?
b squared
Minus sign
4a.
B squared minus 4AC. There is a flaw in my calculations. What is that flaw? What? There is something very small thing wrong. It's not very small thing. It's a very big thing now. It's a crisis now. Crisis of minus sign. Yes, we can call it. Yes, I have to put a pair of brackets. Because this changes the scenario. This minus sign also goes there. Okay? If you made this mistake again, I am sorry to say that you are being defeated by a minus sign over and over again. Okay? It is attacking you from different angles, and every time you are defeated. Okay, so this becomes minus b squared plus 4ac, and then 4a squared. Okay, so what happens? This b squared and that b squared are gone. 4ac, 4a squared. The good news is that everything is a multiplication, is a factor, so and the common factors can be simplified. So this is gone. 1a is gone. So what is left? C over A. Okay, so I would recommend you to write this in your notebook somewhere. You don't have it in the formula sheet. Let me write it in this way. So if you have ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, then x1 plus x2 is immediately minus b over a. And for the very natural reason, this is called s, mean the sum. And then x1 times x2 is c over a, and this is for natural reason, it's called p, product. I would recommend you at least for this lesson and the next, have this somewhere in your notebook. If we need this, I will provide you, because this is not in the formula sheet. If we need this, I myself put it on the top of the quiz. But I want you to remember it, okay? Anyway, now my point is this. How many of you, I want to wait for you to see how many of you can solve this very quickly. Okay. This is the question. Example. I want you to do it fast. When I say do it fast, it means that you have to be efficient. Let x1 and x2 be the roots of the equation as I wrote you before, x squared minus 3x minus 10 equals to 0. What is the exact value of 3x1 x2 to power 2 plus the other way around, 3x1 squared x2. What you need is on the board. Of course, if you need PQ formula or ABC formula, ABC formula is also up there. Any ideas how I want to do it faster? Because I have some information on the book. I said, let me tell you something. If I accidentally give you this in the exam and Hasbullah solves it in that way, of course I have to give the full points because that's correct. Yes? But my point, I was a little bit careless in writing my equation. If I want to do it, so can you describe how did you do that, Shah?
I factorized.
Factorized. This is good to understand. So the question mark, he realized that 3x1, x2 can be pulled out. You might say, what is the benefit of doing that? If you don't know about this, of course there is no benefit to that. But I am giving this example immediately after this piece of information, so I have given it for something, yes? 3x1, x2, I factor it out. So what is left? x2 plus, what is left next? x1. First of all, tell me, are you happy with what I have done? This is the question mark. You might say, what is the purpose of doing this? If you haven't seen the purpose yet, you have to be patient, see it and say, remember it, put it in your toolbox and go home. That's it. Okay? So what is the answer to this one? We know. Do I need to solve? No. x1, x2 is P. x1 plus x2 is S. So this becomes 3PS. But do I need to find the roots for S? No, because S is what? Can you tell me? Can you read using that information? Can you read S for me? Minus B minus 3 over 1. What is that?
Positive 3.
It's just 3. Can you read P for me? It is C over A. What is C?
Negative 30. Then total.
Negative 10 over 1, which is negative 10. And then put them there. So this becomes 3 P is minus 10, S is plus 3. So the answer is minus 90. Is that right? What? No, might be. So let me double check mine and then I will check yours. No, P is correct. S is correct. So 3 times P minus 30. So that is correct. If you have got something else, that is wrong. I will check it out. Let us do the Hasbulat way immediately. In this problem, if you use that method, it works and it is fine. That was my mistake. I could design it harder. Okay? So what could I say? I would find D, the normal method. So what is D? D is B squared minus 4AC. What is B? Is minus 3 to power 2 minus 4 times A times C. So this becomes 9 plus 40 is 49. And then what is the answer? X is equal to minus B plus or minus the square root of D over 2A. So it's minus B. What is minus B? Is 3 plus or minus a square root of D. D is this one. A square root of D is 7 divided by 2 times A, which is 2. I get two answers. X, X. Minus 3 plus 7 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. Minus 3 minus 7 is minus 10. Divided by 2 minus 5. Which one is x1? Which one is x2? Doesn't matter. So let me call this one x1, this one x2. Now let us solve this question mark. It is 3 times. What is x1? Is 2 times minus 5 to power 2 plus 3. x1 is what? 2 to the power of 2 times minus 5. This becomes what?
Minus their B is minus 3 and in the
You should have told me immediately. Sorry. Yes, you are right. Sorry, I'm tired a little bit. So this is minus minus. It is 3. So 3 plus 7 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, thank you for detecting me. So correcting me. And then try 3 minus 7 is minus 4. Divided by that is minus 2. Okay, so be careful. Thank you for correcting me. So this becomes 5 to the power of 2. Yes? And then this becomes 3x1 multiplied by x2. Let us check. 5 to power 2, 25 times 2, 50 times 3, 150. Yes, we are in trouble. So why they are not consistent? Let me see. 25. What is that? 25 times 3.
Babak, you made a mistake. It's x2 to the power of 2 and then x1 to the power of 2.
Okay, let me double check this expression. 3 is 3. x1 is what?
Yes.
x1 is 5.
Yes.
Yes. x1 is 5. x2 is what? Minus 2 to power 2. So far so good. 3 again.
Yes.
x1 is 5 to power 2. This is correct, yes? Okay, so that was my bad. 4 times 20 times 60. And then plus, this one is 25 times 3, 150 times minus 2. No, so 150. But what's the answer?
90.
Ah, yes, that's correct. Minus 90. Yes. So you see, there is a matter of mistakes sometimes here. But here you don't need to be worried because you just write it in terms of P and S. Is that right? Okay, so I know you're tired, but I don't care, okay? So we go a little bit more. Now my question is this. How can you solve this one faster? Let us see how many of you are experienced. I will give you the same question, but instead of asking you, I will ask you to do this. x1 to power 2 plus x2 to power 2. I know that probably I have to kill myself after you give me your solutions. Because I can see your psychology, you know. but prove me wrong and let me live. Yes? The question is, the equation is the same. Instead of asking you this complicated equation, expression, I am asking you for this, and I want you to do it fast. Fast and precise, not fast and furious, yes? Yes?
Is it 9?
Okay, so I have to kill myself. Because I exactly predicted that this will happen. Sorry. You don't have any math teacher anymore. Because I knew you will fall into the same trap. To be honest, didn't you do this?
Is it 20?
Didn't you do this, Omar? Didn't you write it like this?
Maybe.
No, definitely. Because then x1 plus x2 is minus 3 to the power of 2 is 9. But the good point about mathematics is this. Might be this is not the good point, but I see the good point because the rules are always the same. This is wrong. Why? Yes? Because the correct one is what? x1 squared plus 2 times the first one times the second one plus the second one squared. Promise yourself that this, you will not let this damn thing beat you again.
Never get over 100.
So it is very important. You need to have a pain, you know. In the previous systems, they will hit people, students. Because if you are being bitten by a snake or something, you avoid it all the time. Even if it happens once, you will never ever forget it. But I don't know what happens when you are being bitten by a square rule minus sign. You don't care because nothing will happen. Yes, unless that minus sign will actually destroy your money or something. Yes. Okay, so that is not correct.
20 now.
This is why I am. So this is very important, to be honest. Let me just give you a philosophical sentence. If you don't know something and you don't know that you don't know, it's very bad. Because you will never ever learn, because you don't know that you don't know. But if you don't know and you know that you don't know, there is some hope. Because you can go and follow and learn. Okay? So be careful. What can I do for this one? Yes?
The first one squared plus the second one squared, so 25 plus 4.
That one, yes. Don't do it. Let us say that the formula, ABC formula is forbidden. PQ formula is forbidden. Factorization is forbidden. So what do? In other words, if I give you S and if I give you P, can you tell me what this is and how?
X1 equals 3 minus x2, and then move that one.
That will end up with something in terms of x2. Now my question is that if I ask you what is S, we know what is S. What is S? What was S in this problem? 3. What was P in this problem? Minus 10. If I give you only S and forget about these equations. I give you S and I give you P and I ask you this. How can you find that? S is 3 and P is minus 10. How can you find this question mark? I hope that everyone agrees this is not S to the power of 2. Yes? Promise yourself that you will not make that mistake ever again. So, if it is not, what can I do? I will write this in front of you. I am violating my own rule. But because I know this is not true, I have to adjust it so that it becomes true. What this is lacking? Here I have x1 squared, I have x2 squared. So far so good, but I have something more here that I don't have there. What is that thing? 2x1, x2. So I take it off. Now this is correct. So x1 to power 2 plus x2 to power 2 is not this one, but it is this one. Do you see that or not? But now what is this? This is s to power 2 minus, what is this? This is p. And s is 3, p is minus 10. So it is 29. Was it in, do you remember, Hasbulat, what was the answers? I forgot them.
It was 5 and minus 2.
5 and minus 2. Yes, it is working. 5 to power 2, 25, minus 2 to power 2, 4. Add them, it becomes 29. But this method will be superior if these numbers are very hard. For example, if this is 300 and this is minus 12.5, you still can find the answers easily, fairly easily, rather than calculating a lot of things using square roots and a PQ formula, ABC formula. So I want you to write this on the board. I might give questions related to this in the exam, but if I do, I will give this formula to you on the top of the quiz or any exam. Okay? Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye.